Welcome to another video on dark psychology.
Persuasion often moves much faster than influence, even if most people never notice. It's the tool we typically reach for first, because influence builds gradually, sometimes without intention. To master persuasion, you must practice deliberately, especially when you only get one opportunity, and mishandling it can destroy your chance instantly. Influence can smooth the process, or help you recover after a failed attempt, but persuasion carries a sharp edge. If someone senses manipulation, your credibility disintegrates immediately. Persuasion isn't always negative, yet people instinctively fear being controlled, and a single wrong move can make them pull away. Persuasion is not restricted by time. A 30-second advert can shift a decision just as easily as a long conversation. You may spend a year convincing someone to move, or you may have a minute to persuade them to sign a lease. Skilled persuaders adapt to the moment. When persuasion drags on too long, it often morphs into influence, or requires a completely different tactic. Sometimes persuasion doesn't involve words. A single expression can say more than a speech. A raised eyebrow, a disappointed look, even a brief silence can redirect someone's choice. Nonverbal persuasion carries enormous weight. Short, persuasive exchanges can cause long-term commitments, like signing a 12-month contract after a brief discussion. That's why persuasion, ideally, should benefit both parties, not just the persuader. Persuasion doesn't require a relationship. You can negotiate a discount with a shop assistant or convince a stranger to make a larger purchase. Influence relies on established trust. Persuasion can happen instantly between two people who've never met. But to persuade effectively, you must appear credible. If you seem dishonest or insincere, people resist. Some are naturally persuasive, but anyone can learn the skill with awareness and practice. Influence tends to affect people who already respect or admire someone. Persuasion requires more immediate effort. You must build trust in the moment. People associate persuasion with different things. Some imagine advertising, others think of political messaging. Both are examples of attempts to shift thinking. Persuasion shapes daily life. It influences personal decisions, communities, public behavior, and cultural direction. But it differs from more extreme psychological methods. Brainwashing and hypnosis require isolating the subject, applying intense pressure, and targeting individuals under controlled conditions. Persuasion doesn't. It can be used on one person, on a crowd, or an entire society. That reach makes persuasion powerful and potentially dangerous because it can alter the beliefs of thousands. Many people assume they're immune to persuasion. They believe they can spot manipulation instantly, and sometimes they can. People reject arguments that oppose their deep values. But the most effective persuasion is subtle, slipping past conscious resistance. Some see persuasion negatively, a pushy salesperson, a manipulator. But persuasion can also benefit society. Anti-smoking campaigns, recycling initiatives, and public safety messages all rely on persuasion to improve lives. The method is neutral. The intention defines the impact. Persuasion is a symbolic process designed to shift attitudes or behavior while still allowing the subject to choose freely. That voluntary choice distinguishes persuasion from coercive forms of mind control. The audience can reject, accept, or adapt the message. Autonomy remains intact. Persuasion contains several components. 1. It relies on symbols, words, images, sounds, body language. 2. It is intentional. The persuader has a purpose. 3. It preserves freedom of choice. The listener retains control. Self-persuasion also plays a role. People often convince themselves after receiving an initial message. Persuasive messages appear everywhere: conversations, adverts, online videos, social media posts, broadcasts, written content, or silent gestures. Communication can be verbal or entirely nonverbal. Persuasion uses symbols, words to build arguments, images to provide evidence, and sound to evoke emotion. Nonverbal cues enhance the message. Persuasion is always deliberate. Whether through facts, emotion, narrative, or framing, the persuader shapes the communication intentionally. Some methods are direct, others are subtle, and persuasion always offers a choice. Someone can watch 100 adverts for a particular brand and still reject it. Deep values and beliefs don't vanish simply because someone insists they should. This freedom is why persuasion often goes unnoticed as a form of psychological influence. Persuasion can happen anywhere: a casual conversation, a video on your feed, a radio advert, a billboard. Unlike brainwashing or hypnosis, persuasion doesn't require isolation or control. It has existed for thousands of years, beginning with ancient rhetorical traditions, but modern society has expanded its scope dramatically. Modern persuasion differs from its early forms in 5 major ways. Understanding these changes shows just how powerful persuasive communication has become. In ancient times, persuasion appeared mainly in debates and writing. Today, the average adult encounters around 3,000 persuasive messages per day. Ads, influencers, alerts, branding, political messaging. Persuasion saturates modern life. What once took weeks can now reach millions within seconds. Technology broadcasts persuasive content globally. The speed multiplies its power. Companies depend on persuasion to drive sales. Entire industries, marketing, PR, advertising, exist solely to influence behavior. The better the persuasion, the greater the revenue. Persuasion in the past was loud and direct. Today, it's quiet, psychological, and atmospheric. Brands create identities. Friends use social pressure. Influencers use tone, framing, and implication. Subtlety has replaced confrontation. Modern consumers face endless choices. Multiple shops, hundreds of brands, thousands of products. Persuaders must be more strategic, more targeted, and more psychologically refined than ever. Persuasion now involves emotional triggers, identity cues, behavioral data, and digital algorithms. It is multi-layered and highly sophisticated. Persuasion has evolved into one of the most powerful psychological tools in the modern world. It can guide, manipulate, inspire, or mislead. It can change individuals or entire societies. Understanding it is the first step towards recognizing when it's being used and learning how to use it responsibly.